one of the very few CEOs in automotive industry who always speaks his mind and doesn't mince word. I'm joined by Mr. Guenter Butschek, Managing Director and CEO of Tata Motors. Welcome to ET Auto, Mr. Butschek. It's always a pleasure talking to you. How do you see the current scenario in Indian automobile space?
I think your question is pretty much targeting an assessment on the situation, not that much what is behind us, more what is in front of us. But nevertheless, give me the chance to briefly summarize the journey of the last 18 months, because that's unfortunately the order of magnitude of the downturn we have been experiencing. When we got into the crisis 18 months ago, I will not forget the internal conversation with my colleagues and also with other players in the industry. And they all said, Günther, it's not going to be cyclical. It's also not going to be structural. It's possibly a 3 to 6 months affair, as we have seen it multiple times in the past. In the meanwhile, we know it was neither 3 nor 6 months. It became 18 months. And if you ask me for my blunt and honest opinion, although I do believe the worst is behind us, the best is not yet in front of us. Because I personally read the situation that we are going to get into the new reality, as I call it, and I explain in a minute, as of the 1st of April. And then it takes us most probably another 6 months in order to do our job as far as the transition into BS6 is concerned, as far as the required education of the customers is concerned, to give understanding what is BS6, what is the ideal use case that would recommend a petrol, what is the use case that recommends a diesel application, and what is the new opportunity also in the private segment, ever since we launched last week the Nexon EV, for electric solutions. Because this requires a discussion of the use case in order to understand what is the best fit to my individual requirements, what is the best customized mobility solutions to what I do need. This is easily a 6 months journey where customers have lots of questions, not only about electric solutions and petrol and diesel and BS6. Customers ask questions, what is connectivity? What is connectivity in the context of an electric vehicle? Lots of conversation with the car as such, while in PV, it's the car, but it's much more to stay connected to your digital ecosystem. While at the same point of time, customers would like to learn more about safety. Customers would like to understand what is the gain and what is the difference of a 5-star G NCAP frontal crash safety rating versus a 3-star. And all of this education needs to go with the customer in order to facilitate the transition to hopefully see, as the economy is expected to recover in the second half of the next fiscal year, a significant tick up of our business, getting back to sustainable growth. And for Tata Motors to actually get back to our track record, the 9 quarters before the crisis, where we had consistently been outperforming the market by 2.5 to 3.5 times higher growth than the industry's CAGR. So from my point of view, the worst is behind us, the best is going to come as the second half of the year. But what we have at the pavilion here at the Auto Expo gives you a glimpse of all the answers which we do have as far as BS6 is concerned, as far as electrification is concerned, as far as the associated infrastructure, what we launched last week under the brand of Tata Universe is concerned, and what are our answers to the technologies in connected, electric, shared and safe. And having said all of this, we feel extremely well positioned for the opportunities ahead of us.
Talking about Tata Motors globally, we have seen that after 2 quarters of loss, you posted profit last quarter. Too much of dependence on China performance of JLR, that's what looks on your profitability.
Look, as you would like to talk about Tata Motors Global, you actually would like to talk Tata Motors as far as Jaguar Land Rover is concerned. I'm Tata Motors Group, I'm Tata Motors standalone as far as the Indian and the Indian global activities are concerned. My colleague Ralf Speth is in a much better position to answer the
So as a
Jaguar Land
Tata,
Rover dedicated questions.
Tata Motors as a brand, do you have plans to take globally, strengthen your global portfolio? Which are those markets that you would look forward to?
Let's actually start with international business in the commercial vehicle space. In most of the African countries, we are leading the market in people as well as goods transport across the range of different applications in terms of tonnage points, as well as power points, as well as the different vehicle categories are concerned. We are the market leader in the SAARC countries, so in our neighboring countries, as far as commercial vehicles are concerned. But all in all, our current international market presence, also because of the fact that most of these markets do have their own economical and political challenges, are not as strong as they had been, for example, 2 or 3 years ago, so that the share of business has somewhat reduced in terms of numbers, while in all of the markets we have been able to either maintain or even to increase our market share. It's encouraging because we have a strategy for the international business about to be executed, where we bake the international requirements in the conceptual phase of the product in order to turn Tata Motors' international game from a domestic Indian player who sells international to an Indian-based multinational player who provides solutions to the international markets, while we at the same point of time gonna identify the markets where we would like to play strong, where we could even establish hub and spoke concepts to serve from one market a complete region with locally produced products. Passenger vehicles is a different play. We went international, we did not necessarily succeed. We could not keep up with the speed of changes in the regulatory environment, in particular emission standards. Now that India has closed the gap, or is about to close the gap, as far as BS6 is concerned, as far as the safety standards are concerned, now that we have a complete refreshed range of products which suit the new Indian regulations as well as most of the global regulations, it's worth to actually think beyond. But having the 4th largest automotive market on your doorstep, as it is India, you really need to have more than one look before you decide to what extent you go international and to where you go international. Because if we could effectively leverage the Indian market much more effectively than what we are doing today, addressing 57% of the market, assume leveraging Alpha Omega is going to give us a play of 90% of the addressable Indian market. And we actually get our front-end sales and after-sales to a different level of experience, where we surprise the customers and where we make Tata Motors a unique and differentiated experience, product plus solution, and where we actually start as a group investing in the ecosystem for electrification, and we actually drive faster adoption to electrification at the Indian need of the hour as far as the pollution is concerned. I think focus is going to be on India, while we will not miss opportunities in the global markets.
So have you identified some market on the international level? Which are the markets? Not yet.
Not yet, because we believe the international markets will open up with our strong focus on electric. We believe that India has the opportunity and Tata Motors has the opportunity to become an international hub for electric mobility solutions beyond the product, and that this can be exported because there are lots of interest in dedicated fleets of electric vehicles in all kinds of different countries and regions. So you could get with a dedicated fleet in countries where the entry barrier, investing in a sales network, investing in a service network, is actually too high than to determine a business case. If you go with a dedicated fleet, it's a much, much easier play. There's huge interest in our electric buses. There's huge interest in the Tiggo EV as a very long range, as a very attractive solution with 200 plus kilometers, the right balance between cost and range. And the Nexon EV has actually been a groundbreaking launch approximately 1.5 weeks ago, which again has reinforced the global interest in Tata Motors electric solutions.
Coming back to the current market situation that we have, it is one of the most prolonged slowdown that we have seen in India. For you, what are the key reasons? What really pulled down the industry for so long?
And there are all kinds of different reasons. Economy, so other way around. As we saw at the beginning, it's a temporary impact triggered by the slowdown of the economy, by subdued demand. I think we learned as it got extended, and in the meanwhile, 18 months, as I have just mentioned, we learned there's an overlay of a cyclical piece that's economy driven. And I don't like to comment on the economy, but there's also a structural piece, which is a pretty complex one, because it's changing customer behavior and preference on the one side. It's confusion around technology. It's confusion around the transition BS4 to BS6. And it actually comes with lots of questions of customers as far as new technology is concerned. That's the reason why we decided here at the pavilion to go beyond BS6, to go beyond product, and to actually provide answers and technology, again in the field of connected, electric, shared, and safe. If we provide all of these answers, I think customers who have taken a kind of fence-sitter position, saying, let's wait and see how all of this is going to pan out, what's in it for me, and what is going to be the future of mobility. We have now all the answers available. As we get into BS6, we have the new market reality. Today, what is the market reality? Discounted BS4 or price increase because of higher technical content, price increase BS6? No, that's transition. The new level playing field is the 1st of April. We're all going to be in BS6. Some might have electric and petrol and diesel solutions. Others have petrol. We will actually play stronger on electric. And then we need to make the customers familiar with the new market reality. And then I think we are going to get out of the crisis. But the transition is part of our today's reality. And it's going to last another couple of months before we get out of it.
What are your product strategy for 2020, and how do you see the market to be in 2020 for passenger vehicle, especially commercial vehicle, which is your largest pie of the business?
Let's start with commercial vehicles. What you need to know, you can see here at the Auto Expo. What you need to know has been comprehensively summarized by Girish at yesterday's press conference. It talks about modularity, it talks about an upgrade, it talks about value enhancement, and it talks like in PV about BS6 and beyond, as it talks electric, as it talks CNG, as alternative fuel options. And it actually talks about having the customer's expectation of profitability and profitability improvements in mind. And this is the full play from sub 1 ton all the way to 55 tons, from 17 horsepower petrol and diesel all the way to the heavy duty trucks with 300 horsepower. So everything is there. Passenger vehicles, you have it all here. Yes. On the 22nd, you saw a new value enhanced mid-cycle refreshed Tiago, Tigor, Nexon. First in the industry globally that an automotive manufacturer has upgraded its entire range of products in one go. This is a strong message and it can't be topped by anything different. So Harrier completed the launch of the upgraded vehicles with the Harrier 2020, panoramic sunroof, automatic transmission, 6-speed, new wheels, new outside rear view mirrors, and significant upgrade of the interior, and the Gravitas got launched. So Gravitas is going to be commercially launched later in the first half of this year. HBX, if you listen to my explanation yesterday, is a show car. Show car, per my definition, is going to get into the market in less than 12 months. So this is going to surprise the customer and reach the customer during the coming fiscal year. Sierra gives an outlook of what is possible on the Alpha architecture and how far we actually go with new concepts as far as electrification is concerned. These are the surprises. What is already been introduced is the upgrade of the range, and possibly one that stands on the left-hand corner is the Ultras EV. as it was a show car a year ago at the same point of time in Geneva. It's now a vehicle which is about to go in production and will also get into the market in the second half of the year. So a lot to talk about, or a lot to be sold.
India has a fancy to achieve 5 million passenger vehicle market. When do you think we can achieve that?
Look, on the basis of the initial version of the auto-mission plan, we expected to cross the 5 million and possibly become in 2022 already the third largest market, taking over Japan, in 2025 to cross the 5 million. I think with the level correction we are going to expect for this year, from 3+ million to possibly 2.6 million, it's a reset by at least 1, if not even 2 years. I have no doubt we are going to cross the 5 million. I don't think that we are going to cross it in 2025, possibly going to be 2026, 2027, as I do expect that the previously expected adoption rate to electrification by 2025, with the speed in the industry we see these days, and with the investment in the ecosystem like the Tata Universe, is most probably going to be further accelerated, and it's going to cross, seriously going to cross in 2025 the 20% line to make a real impact on whatever is going to hit as a newly registered vehicle the Indian roads.
One last question. How much do you plan to invest in the next few years in Tata Motors in new programs and marketing?
A significant amount.
If you could put some number.
No.
Okay, but do you think that we'll be able to touch a double-digit growth anytime soon, or how do you see 2020 to
That's
be?
what I said.
2021
the
to be?
industry or us?
No, industry and yours also.
Look, the industry, if I would have the crystal ball, I could possibly give you an answer. I expect that we are going to get on the growth path in the second half of the coming fiscal year. Is this growth going to be 4% or as strong as what we have seen the last 5 years, between 6 to 7, 8%? I think it's too early to judge. I think because it's not only about the automotive industry, the economy needs to go back on a strong growth path. And then I expect that we are going to get back to the initial one. As far as Tata Motors is concerned, my personal expectation is that we get back to the 9 quarters before the crisis, where we had been consistently growing 2.5 to 3.5 times of the CAGR of the industry. So we would be, even if the industry only grows by 4% or 6%, we would be back to a double-digit growth opportunity, which also makes sense because with each and every new product expected to be launched, we are going to increase our market coverage. We were 50% before the Ultras. We are now 57, 58% with the Ultras. This beauty is going to get into the market in the second half. The Gravitas is going to be available in the second half. So we rapidly expand the market coverage. And with the market coverage, we are going to increase equal market share across the segments, our overall market
so
participation.
Going forward, your focus is going to be SUVs, as what we understand. Which is your biggest
Ultras is, I think Ultras is not a SUV.
But others...
but Ultras is the first premium hatch in the premium hatch segment, which has become, during the course of the last 4 years, 25% of the total hatch segment. So as we play strong in SUV across the range of products, we play strong because it's the fastest growing market segment, as we have decided to go in the premium hatch because that's the fastest growing hatch segment. So you might call it opportunistic, we call it strategic, as we have some white space products like the Sierra in preparation to actually get out of the normal scheme of doing automotive business and getting back to the pioneering spirit of Tata Motors, which has always been one of the strong characteristics.
Thank you so much for talking to ET Auto. Thank you so much.
Thank you.